Agreed to a ceasefire proposal presented by Qatar and Egypt, the parameters remain unclear. An earlier proposal on offer pointed to a temporary pause in fighting for several weeks in return for the release of some hostages. Palestinian prisoners held by Israel would also be released. This would happen in 3 stages and included a plan for a complete withdrawal of Israel's military from Gaza. But Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last week rejected any notion that it would stop the war before achieving its goal of eliminating Hamas battalions in Rafah, as Israel now reviews what Hamas says it has agreed to.
We examine every answer and response in the most serious manner and are exhausting every possibility regarding negotiations and returning the hostages to their homes as soon as possible as a main mission. In parallel, we are still operating in the Gaza Strip and will continue to do so.
The White House echoed the sentiment coming after a call between President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier Monday.
The last thing I would ever want to do from this podium is say something that could put this very sensitive process at greater risk. We are at a critical stage right now. We got a response from Hamas. Now Director Burns is working through that, trying to assess it, working with the Israelis. I mean, my goodness, folks, I don't know that it gets any more sensitive than right now. And the worst thing that we can do is start speculating about what's in it.
As concerns mount about an Israeli military offensive in Rafah after warning civilians to evacuate the eastern parts of the city, sparking panic and fear as thousands of displaced again are forced to flee an imminent military assault.
Now, of course, the 2 leaders spoke about our efforts to secure the hostage deal, including through these ongoing talks today. During the call, at the president's urging, Prime Minister Netanyahu agreed to ensure that the Kerem Shalom crossing is back open for humanitarian assistance for those in need. And I also want to take a moment to address the latest reports now out of Rafah, which was also a topic of discussion on the call. I'll reiterate again that we cannot and we will not speak for IDF operations, but we've made clear our views about operations in Rafah that could potentially put more than 1 million innocent people at greater risk. During his call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the president again made this clear.
As the UN's Human Rights Office also weighed in.
Israel's orders for civilians to evacuate parts of Gaza will lead to further death, suffering, and destruction beyond already unbearable levels. Gazans continue to be hit with bombs, disease, and even famine. And today they have been told that they must relocate yet again as Israeli military operations into Rafah scale up. This is inhumane. It runs contrary to basic principles of international law. Forcibly relocating hundreds of thousands from Rafah to areas which have already been flattened and where there is no shelter, virtually no access to humanitarian assistance, is inconceivable. It will only expose them to more danger and misery. There must be a ceasefire.
And as the world now waits an official Israeli response to Hamas's latest offer, its offensive in Rafah has officially begun. Sherman Bryceby's SABC News.